came out. Her youngest sister was holding a keyring in her hand. "Are these keys yours, Hannah?" she asked, handing them to Hannah. Hannah examined the keys and shook her head. "They're not mine, but they look like the keys to Ross's car. I knew they must be here somewhere since it's still in his parking space. Where did you find them?" "They were in the top drawer of the dresser in the guest room. They were sitting right on top of my warmest winter scarf. I never would have found them if I hadn't decided to use that scarf this morning." "Well, I'm glad. I never thought to look there." "That's understandable. I was really surprised when I found them. Why did Ross put them there?" Hannah began to smile as her mind latched on to the obvious conclusion. "It's simple, Michelle. Ross wanted you to drive his car while he was gone. There's no other explanation." "Are you sure?" "The more I think about it, the more positive I am. He took the time to go into your room and put his car keys in your dresser drawer. There's no other reason he would have done that." Michelle still looked doubtful. "But how do you feel about it? Do you want me to use Ross's car?" "Why not? It should be driven. If it just sits there, it's not going to start when Ross comes home. He obviously wanted you to keep his car running for him." "Well, if you're sure." "I'm sure." Michelle began to smile. "I was going to ask Mother if I could borrow her car, but now I won't have to do that. It's a big relief." "Because Mother would say yes, but then she'd figure out some way to make you pay a couple of pounds of favors for the privilege?" "Exactly." Michelle headed toward the rug by the door where they kept their winter boots. She pulled on hers, and then she slipped her shoes in the tote bag she was carrying. "Take your time, Hannah," she said as she opened the outside door. "I'll help Lisa bake the dough we mixed up last night and get things ready in the coffee shop. Have another cup of coffee before you leave, and enjoy being a lady of leisure for a change." "Thanks," Hannah said, as Michelle went out and closed the door behind her. Then she shrugged out of her parka, draped it over the back of the couch, and went into the kitchen to pour herself another cup of coffee. The coffee was still hot enough to drink without reheating. "A lady of leisure." She repeated Michelle's phrase to Moishe, who had followed her into the kitchen and seemed to be staring at her curiously as she took a seat at the kitchen table. "I'm not exactly sure what that is." Moishe made no comment. Instead, he headed for his food bowl. As her feline roommate crunched kibble, Hannah stared out the window at the snow blowing past the pane. It had been less than 3 minutes since Michelle had walked out the door, and Hannah was already feeling guilty for not putting on her boots and following her sister to work. "Either I'm not a lady, or I don't know the meaning of leisure," she told Moishe. "If you don't mind, I'm going to gulp down this coffee and drive to work." A biting wind hurtled icy snow against Hannah's cheeks as she left the condo and hurried down the covered staircase to ground level. As she passed her downstairs neighbor's window, she noticed that the kitchen light was on. That meant Sue Plotnick was up fixing breakfast for her 3-year-old boy, Kevin. His father, Phil Plotnick, would be home soon from his night supervisor shift at Delray Manufacturing. Phil would eat breakfast with them, and then Sue and Kevin would leave for her teaching job at Kitty Corner, Lake Eden's preschool. Once they'd left, Phil would go to bed and sleep until Sue and Kevin got back home. It was a demanding schedule, but Sue and Phil had worked it all out. They'd spend the rest of the day together with Kevin until Phil went back to work again at 11 that night. When Hannah started her Suburban, she noticed that the engine sounded a bit sluggish. It was time to start using her engine block heater and plugging her cookie truck in every night. The garage had a strip of outlets on the wall in front of the parking spaces for that purpose. There was also a strip of outlets in the parking lot at the cookie jar. As Hannah drove to work, she thought about the busy days ahead. It was Monday, and Thanksgiving would arrive soon. That meant they had to prepare for the Thanksgiving baking. The orders for pumpkin pies, pumpkin scones, pumpkin cookies, and sugar cookies decorated with turkeys and pumpkins were already pouring in. The pumpkin